with an i7-4790K, 16 gigabytes of 2400 megahertz speed DDR3 Ram, and a GTX 970. I also got a new monitor. It turns sideways. And, oh yeah, it's also 144 Hz. So let's test it. I've got Fraps and I've got Shadow Play. Let's get testing. AC Unity. This is a personal one for me. They completely fucked it. They completely fucked it up, didn't they? One of my favourite franchises, if not my favourite franchise. And they fucked it up. They fucked it up completely. The game is still, to this day, unplayable on my old setup. Unplayable. I can't play it. Like, I cannot. I tried to go back to it like a month ago. So that was like how many months? Like 7, 8 months after the release. And it was still, God, unplayable. Unplayable. So, let's see if my new setup makes any difference whatsoever. It's Ubisoft, so I doubt it. But there is hope. Hopefully. I mean, goddamn, I played the first one. Wow, when did the first one come out? 2007 or 8? So I was like either 9 or 10 when I played the first one, like, or 11. Like, I fucking loved it. Like, I loved it. I played the non-director's cut version. The director's cut apparently is way better than the original. So here we are in Paris, and these are the settings I am running on. I haven't changed them since last time. Graphics quality is apparently on high. Here you go, high, 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 SSAO, FXAA, and bloom on. Here we are in the crowds, and we are hitting 60. The first time I've ever seen 60 FPS in AC Unity. I mean, it goes beyond the frame rate for this game. I mean, the controls are so heavy. The controls are so heavy and slow and clunky. Like, it feels horrible to play. I mean, the combat has been getting worse and worse every Assassin's Creed. I don't know how that's possible. Surely it should be getting better and better. A lot of people like to compare the Batman and AC combat. I mean, I love Assassin's Creed. I mean, I fucking love it. And I will defend, like, 2 and Brotherhood to the death. But, fuck me. The combat in Black Flag, in 3, and in Unity, just awful. I mean, Revelations had good combat. And I've never been one of those people who's like, oh, it's too easy, it's so easy. I don't really care. If it's difficult, it's difficult. If it's easy, it's easy. I don't really care. But as you can see, we are actually hitting 60. I don't believe it. It's perfectly playable. I mean, there's still a shit ton of pop-in from like 30 feet away. People's clothes are changing as you're running near them. People's texture detail is changing like 3 times as you get closer. But it's playable. I'd never thought I'd see the day where this game was playable. It's a miracle. But there is still some stuttering, which is not great. Apparently this game is still broken in an SLI setup. Now I've never used SLI, so I don't really know what it is. All I know is that if you get 2 graphics cards, put them together, and then you activate SLI, you don't get like double power, but it definitely helps. But apparently it's completely broken. Isn't there like some horrible flickering effect on like water that will give you a seizure if you play this game in an SLI format? Let's see if we can find some combat. Oh, big. If we dropped down to 30 there, we went from 60 to 30. I also played the Dead Kings DLC, and that was awful. I mean, like they gave away a pretty substantial DLC away for free, but the problem is that the DLC was basically giving you a turd. The DLC was worse than the main game. like, it looked like shit because it was in a place that was supposed to look like shit. Like, it had just gone through some really hard times, so the place looked ugly as sin. And it featured some of the worst parts of Unity as the main gameplay of the DLC. So the DLC, like as much as it was nice that they gave it away for free. I mean, it was substantial. It was like a 5-hour expansion, like sort of like the DLC. Most DLC is like an hour to 2 hours long. An expansion, it was like a big DLC. We'll call it a big DLC. We won't call it an expansion. We'll call it a big DLC. But unfortunately, it was still shit, so it didn't matter that they gave it away for free, because it was still shit. Alright, let's try some going up a bit in the settings. Let's have a look here. So we've got high, very high, and then ultra. So as you can see, we are on basically medium settings for the game. Maybe high, I would say. Maybe high. It's weird. Low is low. Medium is basically low. High is medium, and then you got very high and ultra high. So high is the middle ground, basically. Let's go very high, shall we? Actually, there's only 3 settings for texture quality. As you can see, there's so, like, well, it's not. I hate it when games have so little options to tweak. Like, the great thing about PC is that you get options, apart from when there are barely any options. So I'm surprised the game's actually running this well with ambient occlusion on at SSAO. We'll try that, which you can only use if you have NVIDIA GameWorks enabled. Soft shadows. Should we put it on ultra? Let's try that. Now the big frame rate killer in this game is MSIA. But surprisingly, it's not running that bad. I can deal with 30 FPS. I mean, I will put the graphics down to get 60 any day, but I can play at 30 FPS fine. I'm not one of those people who's like, 30 FPS is unplayable. Because I don't think it is. I think it's fine. But 60 is better, and it's nicer, but 30 FPS is fine for me. I'm not really that much of a... I don't really care, because I've played consoles for 15 years of my life. I can deal with it. Maybe as I play more PC, I'll become absolutely disgusted by it. But hopefully that won't happen. But as you can see on max settings, we are getting an acceptable frame rate. Unfortunately, we are about to die. Now what's weird is that people were like, AC Unity, it's still so easy. Actually, it's really difficult, but only because they gated the difficulty. Is that if you don't have, like, the better gear, yeah, some of the parts of the game are impossible. They basically gear-gated the difficulty in a single-player game, which is very strange. As you can see, we are still at 30 FPS, perfectly playable. As you can see, I am level 2, these guys are level 4. Which basically means I don't have, like, the actual right gear to fight these guys. So it's actually really difficult to fight these guys. And that's something I really fucking hated that they did to the game. Also, they had the horrible Unity companion app, which basically made it so that sometimes you would go up to a chest and it would be like, unfortunately, you cannot open this because you have to use our terrible app. Like, I think they may have disabled that, which is good, but the fact that it was there at launch and it was there for a good time, I mean, they're completely ruining their games. Ubisoft are. Like, Ubisoft don't really make bad games, but they just have horrible things in them. Can I pick that up, please? Can I pick that up? Can I pick the musket up? No? My pistol has better accuracy than his musket. I'm not sure if this is one of those Unity companion app chests that I was just talking about or not. Let's have a look. Can I open it? I can open it. Nice. Well, as you can see, I can play the fucking game now. Unfortunately, it's not a good game to begin with, which is unfortunate. I mean, the combat is just... They made the attacks, like, basically super heavy and super slow. And so what used to be, like, a really cool finesse-style combat system, they've turned into this, like, sluggish, heavy, horribly controlling combat system. Because as much as it was really easy, it was still super fun and it looked awesome. Unfortunately, it no longer looks awesome, and it plays horribly. And it's still as buggy as shit. As you can see, I died. I pressed B to parry there. I'm not sure if the game doesn't recognise some of your button presses, or if it just... I didn't time it right. I don't know. But as you can see, the game... It's not difficult, it's just... If you don't have the right gear, some of the fights are basically impossible. Not necessarily impossible, but a slog, and take way longer than they should. And the problem is that you run into guys that are twice your level all the time. There's a kitty cat. But as you can see, even on max settings, the textures look like shit. They look like shit. They look like dog shit. I mean, this is on max settings, right? Is there not some hidden, like, hidden option? And for some reason, it takes way too many menus to get to the actual... Oh, there's there's TXAA. Oh shit. Okay, I thought MSAA times 4 was the max. Apparently not. But this is on TXAA, and the texture still looks like shit. It still looks the same. Oh dear. Let's climb whatever it's called. I used to be good at French, but that was like 6 years ago, and I've forgotten all of it. Because that's how French language works. You learn it, and then if you don't keep learning it, you forget all of it. So it's completely fucking pointless to learn it if you're not going to keep learning it. As you can see, look at that. The textures are shit, and then they get less shit as you get closer to them. I mean, they made the climbing. The climbing is the best in the series, apart from the fact that it has heavy as shit controls. But they made it a lot easier to get back down to ground, a lot smoother. They gave you a proper button to descend, so you weren't awkwardly falling to your death and jumping off by accident. I mean, it's such a shame. I mean, Black Flag was so... I mean, 2013 was... a pretty good year for games. I mean, I didn't like some of the games as much as other people, but it was a pretty fucking good year for games. And then 2014 was like the opposite. I mean, Black Flag was so fucking good, and then to go from that to this is just weird. It's weird how much of a downgrade they made. And the problem is that it looks like shit. I mean, look at the textures. None of them have loaded. I mean, look at that. Max settings. This is max settings, and the game only renders the textures in like, what would you say that is? Like a 250-foot radius, maybe 250-foot square radius, maybe. It only loads textures in a 250-foot radius. I mean, look at that. Not loaded. I mean, that point, that's like, how can you not see that? Like, even like that, even if you don't zoom in, you can see all the textures not loaded at all. I mean, I can forgive textures not being loaded at that distance, but not right fucking here. I mean, at least there aren't any black voids for windows anymore. I used to have, like, black voids instead of windows. There used to just be a black hole where a window was supposed to be. I'm hoping Syndicate can be better. I don't know. I think people are giving it one more chance because of the fact that it's set in Victorian London. But I'm not. I mean, it looks cool when you're fighting on top of trains. I mean, that's the big new thing. You can fight on top of moving stuff. If the combat's the same as Unity, then I think it's going to be a shit show. If they've gone backwards in terms of the combat and gone back to maybe even 4 had better combat than Unity, so I'm hoping they've at least gone back to that, at least. And the controls are still pretty shit. They've always been unprecise, but I feel like they were worse in this. But anyway, we're going to end it there. Hope you enjoyed my huge rant on the game, which is weird because I fucking love Assassin's Creed. But, like, I'm not a fanboy. I've never been a fanboy of anything in my life, and I don't understand fanboys, because surely if you love something, if the next one is shit, you should say it's shit. If you love it, you should say it's shit so that it can be better next time. So, thank you for watching, and goodbye.